Welcome to the Configure Price Quote podcast. My name is Frank Sohn and I'm the founder of CPQ Consulting. This podcast is 100% focused on Configure Price Quote, also known as CPQ, and will provide you useful insights into this topic. I'm thrilled to welcome Tina Kang to the CPQ podcast today. Tina is a co-founder and CTO of New.io and has over 20 years of business experience in the software industry with firms like SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, Zuora, Neo CRM, and others. She held various leadership positions and co-founded New.io in 2021, and I'm super excited to have her today. Welcome to the CPQ podcast, Tina.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's always fun for me to talk about CPQ billing and everything behind the scene and what goes into making revenue operations actually run smoothly. I've been lucky to see a lot over the years and looking forward to sharing a lot of that journey and what we're up to at New.
Now, I'm super excited, as I said, and let's start maybe by telling me a little bit more about what you did before you founded New. I already mentioned the who is who of the tech world, right? But say it in your own words so that people understand where you come from.
Yep. So before co-founding New, I spent about 2 decades leading engineering team focused on building enterprise platforms and applications. So that goes from the very early days of on-premise to modern SaaS. So I had the opportunity to work at companies like Ariba, Oracle, Niku, which was acquired by CA, Salesforce, Zuora, Neo CRM, serving global companies such as Coca-Cola, Walmart, New York Times, HBO, and so on.
No, and the question I have to ask you automatically is, so you worked for all these big companies, had a big career, were a leader, so that's all safety, financial security and everything. What drove you to really then start New? Why didn't you stick with these big companies and fill that job?
Well, over the years, right, you've seen I've had the chance to build 4 different generations of CPQ and billing systems, right, including the CPQs that support complex, big machine, physical goods at Oracle and later Salesforce, then moving into like modern subscription for CPQ and billing at Zuora, and eventually leading the development of a mobile first CPQ platform and Neo CRM in Asia. So that journey really gave me like some deep understanding of how these systems succeed and also where they break, right? Which essentially inspired me to start New. So the key reason I, started my own company was um, essentially rooted in my time at Zuora and also Salesforce. I spent altogether 6 really intense years there, learning a lot about how subscription businesses operate, from scaling, integrations to data to revenue infrastructure and all that. But I also saw a lot of cracks, especially between CPQ and billing. Customers, like from small SMB customers to large enterprises, were constantly just forced to layer workarounds after workarounds just to get their end-to-end processes to function. And it became even more painful when they tried to scale across multiple channels. For example, when they tried to start a PLG motion. So at the same time, I was looking at the rest of the B2C world where buying and selling has become incredibly easy, right? So I started asking the question, why can't enterprise selling and buying be as easy as Amazon? Why is managing subscription change still so convoluted? So that's essentially the inspiration why I wanted to start New. Before starting New, I also talked to 70 different companies in Silicon Valley, from SMB to big tech, and the ping is just unanimous. So I wanted to build a platform where quoting, billing, revenue operations are truly unified, intuitive, and flexible enough to support modern go-to-market motions.
Excellent. And we will talk about New and the success you have had with that platform here in a minute. But before we go there, every time I have someone as experienced as you are on the podcast, right, I ask also, what's one deciding moment in your career that you really still think of today, right? So as kind of a turning point in your career. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, that's very interesting. So, in about 2009, when I was still at CA, so I was actually building the platform for CA technologies, right? So I had the opportunity to actually collaborate with Salesforce on a joint project to build CA's vision product suite on top of the Salesforce platform. So that was actually my first time to work with Salesforce. And that experience actually gave me an inside look at Salesforce, not just as a CRM, but as a platform, because we're building something completely not CRM on top of Salesforce. So I was deeply inspired by how Salesforce built its metadata-driven architecture, and more importantly, how this architecture actually empowered the entire Cisco ecosystem that becomes the Salesforce ecosystem today. That was 16 years ago. So that essentially completely changed my thinking about the ecosystem. So I knew I was really adamant about building new ecosystem first, that we need an object model that integrates seamlessly with CRM, ERP, and all the reporting tools so that it's as easy to report on or to extend, right? So that decision, like back in 2009, to work with Salesforce on this joint project really helped me open my eyes to see how important the ecosystem is to build on and to integrate with, and then to develop as well.
Excellent. And beyond the technical aspects, what personal qualities or soft skills do you believe are most critical for success in the CPQ world, and how have you cultivated those in your own career?
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting question. So I think beyond the technical side, I think the most important soft skills in CPQ and billing world, I would say, are empathy being the first one, and resilience, and the third one will be communications, right? So the first one, empathy, is actually is actually one of our company value. So the reason being, CPQ isn't just about configuration logic or pricing engine, right? So it is um, at the intersection of sales, finance, RevOps, and products. So you have to understand how different teams think, how they work together, what they care about, right? That requires empathy, the ability to put yourself into someone else's shoes and design solutions that not just for the system, but are best suited for them. This is why when we design UX, when we design any kind of API interfaces, want to make sure that they're designed, for specific personas, being sales, finance, RevOps, or product managers, right? The second one is resilience. So CPQ and billing both apparently very complex and ever changing, right? Pricing strategies shift, stakeholders left and go, or change their minds often, and technical constraints pop up. So you have to really stay calm, bounce back quickly from setbacks, and just keep moving forward, because this is a world that keep changing, especially now in the AI era. Pricing models, revenue models change pretty much on a monthly basis. You have to be really resilient and then be able to keep moving forward. So the finally communications is key, right? Because when you're dealing with so many um, different teams, different integration partners, whether it's explaining object models to non-technical people or aligning engineering and sales around the roadmap, you know, I think the ability to bridge these gaps are just making all the differences.
Got it. And before we talk more about new.io, I have one question, and that is, what do you do when you don't work? I still hope you have some time where you really don't have to work.
You know what? I enjoy listening to podcasts. So I tune in to many different podcasts. And at the weekends, I enjoy cooking. I enjoyed running, hiking, and also hanging out with friends and family. Yeah.
Excellent. So then let's focus a little bit more on new, right? And let's start by telling me a little bit more about new and what products and services you offer.
All right. So new, as you know, is a modern omni-channel revenue lifecycle platform that is aiming to unify CPQ billing and revenue operations for modern businesses. So across, we help companies sell and monetize more effectively across all channels, whether that's direct sales, product-led growth, and partner-led channels, and across all the revenue models, that being physical goods, subscriptions, milestone-based services, consumptions, and credits. So we have 4 different product lines. The first one being Lifecycle Manager, essentially is CPQ, but we expand that to support the entire lifecycle of customers, including upsell, cross-sell, all these change motions. The second one is Everything Billing. The reason is we actually bill for everything, for all the revenue models. And then third one's staff experience. So we offer a suite of APIs and UI components. And then the last one is data and integrations, because we want to make sure that we produce accurate and real-time revenue data, and then we can integrate seamlessly into the ecosystem.
Excellent. And what kind of customers do you focus on? So which industries?
Yeah, so new focus on, so even though we're horizontal SaaS operations, right? So we focus on industries across SaaS, AI, medical devices, and fintech. So those are essentially, our customers are largely in these industries.
Got it. Got it. And what customer size do you looking for? So number of employees that they have or annual revenue that they have, however you measure it.
Yeah, so our customers are really, even though they kind of range from small to medium businesses, but to really large, enterprise organizations, right? But they are all fast-growing, scaling companies. They share the same need for needing a scalable omni-channel first revenue lifecycle platform with building flexibility.
Got it. And what geographies do you focus on mostly?
So most of the customers have headquarters in North America and Europe, but they typically run global operations.
Got it. And how many employees does New have? You have been growing very fast, but how many do you have at this point in time, and where are they located?
Yeah, I kind of lost counting because we're growing really fast, but I think we're over 100 employees now. We are located, I think, in 8 different countries. Um, our headquarters are in San Francisco Bay Area, but we also have offices in Toronto, Colombia, um, and so on. So we're true global companies now.
Very cool. And that after a very short period of time, right? So now that brings up my next question. What can you tell me about New and your investors, right? I understand that you had the 20 million Series A funding round just in January, right? So what else can you tell me about the investors?
Yeah, we're very lucky to have many investors that support us from very early days. Our first seed investor is Next World Capital, and then they continue to support us over the next seed extension and A round, right? So in A round, we raised 20 million in January this year, led by Innovia Capital, who is Canada's leading full stack software investor. So this round really helped us to set the foundation for the growth in the next years.
Excellent, excellent. And you're not just getting investment money, you also bought a company lately, right? So that was Approvals Pro for deal approvals. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, that's right. So we recently acquired Approval Pro to enhance our advanced approval workflow within the CPQ process. You know, Salesforce has a powerful platform, but its approval capabilities have not advanced for a decade, right? So our customers really need, especially the enterprise level customers, really need kind of advanced complex approval process. So Approval Pro, which is built natively on Salesforce platform, provides advanced capabilities such as approval chains, smart approvals, sequential parallel approvals, notifications, logging, tracking, and so on. So our customers really are really happy that we have Approval Pro now in our product suite. So with this acquisition, they can essentially now configure very sophisticated approval processes without code. It's a low code, no code tool directly integrated into Salesforce, and also the quoting experience in new as well.
Today, I want to point you to two offerings that we have that can help your selection process. The number one is the CPQ briefing subscription. That's based on 1-hour meetings with vendors where we take notes, where we look at the solution and we put the 2-page document together, and there is a subscription with many different vendors. We start off with 10, should have 5 more fairly quickly, and expect to have 40 to 50 or more hopefully by the end of this year. So check this out if you're very early in the process of selecting a CPQ solution. If you're much further ahead and you want to make a decision between 2 or 3 vendors, then you may want to have a look at our CPQ sales report. That's a very detailed report about vendors, and that's around 20 pages, provides much more information, so that's for a much later stage. By the way, we will have some webinars here in the coming months where we explain the whole Novo CPQ selection process in more detail. But today I just wanted to mention the briefing subscription and the CPQ sales report. Now I have a question. So when you talk to your customers, how do you tell them new is different from your competitors? So what's the elevator pitch? Why are you better than others? What would you say?
Yeah, so this one is, I've been apparently putting a lot of thoughts into this, right? So from products engineering perspective, I think there are 3 fundamental approaches that essentially set us apart from other competitors, right? So the first one is we built a unified, efficient data model on an omni-channel platform. So that means the moment a quote is created, the system is ready to bill and recognize revenue. So there's no handoff, no gaps, and no rework, right? This is what new is fundamentally different from other competitors. And this is also a huge differentiator in today's hybrid business environments where revenue can come from many different revenue models, right? So subscriptions, usage, one-time purchases, or milestone services, or credits, committed credits, and so on, and can come from multiple channels. So a unified and efficient data model is the key. The second one is our real-time pricing engine that is embedded and is platform agnostic, right? So in order to build something across channel, we cannot build a pricing engine on Salesforce, yet another pricing engine on AWS, yet another pricing engine on somewhere else. Or we cannot build a pricing engine for each revenue model, right? So we essentially have one unified real-time pricing engine where you can configure pricing logic once and then have it run everywhere. So that's essentially our secret sauce, and then that's where our customer love our products with. And with pricing engine, it not only empowers the initial sale, it also powers all the midterm changes, right? So you have your upgrade, downgrade, swap, you have your renewals, and you can combine price adjustment with renewals, with upgrade, downgrade, swap, everything, right? And co-term in the middle of a contract. And that is essentially one button click. It's very seamlessly handled. And then the last one is we are, like what we said, our company value is empathy, right? Customer empathy. So we focus on a modern RevOps experience that feels more like Amazon than a legacy enterprise system. So we built different UX for different personas, whether that being sales, finance, or operations. It's not just just IT for a system. We actually focus on customer experience for different personas in the system.
Excellent. And as you talked, I thought about, I had written down one question here in preparation for this meeting, right? So, because I read one of your blog posts, and I think you had an article there, CPQ and billing, why they need to work together. And you discussed the common myth that billing begins in finance, right? Can you elaborate a little bit more on why integrating billing into the sales process is so important for modern businesses?
Yeah, this is why this is actually one of the important reasons we founded New, right? The idea that billing begins in finance is just, I think, is a legacy mindset. So in modern businesses, billing really starts the moment a deal is configured, whether it's through direct sales, self-service, checkout, or partner portal. If billing is disconnected from CPQ, you essentially introduce cracks in the process that slow everything down, especially in an omni-channel sales motion, right? So each channel needs to speak the same pricing and billing language. So if your CPQ system says one thing and your billing system says another, the results is essentially you ended up having a friction, reconciliation issues, and a very broken customer experience. Remember, this customer can be your sales rep, can also be end user who's actually just checking out a change order or checking out, um, uh, for anything that is, for example, converting a free trial into a paid subscription, right? So I knew we really think that we also want to make pricing innovation actually possible, right? So with CPQ disconnected from billing, and then you ended up with two pricing systems and multiple places for you to configure pricing. So whenever you want to roll out a new pricing pricing model, guess what? You will have to configure it in both CPQ and billing, then pray that they actually integrate, right? That's very fragile and very expensive.
Got it. Now, let me ask, we stick with billing for a moment, right? So usage-based billing models are more popular right now, right? So what are, from your point of view, the key considerations that customers should look at before they implement usage-based pricing?
Yeah, usage-based pricing has been very popular in the last several years, especially when it comes to PLG, AI, infrastructure, and so on. This is for a very good reason. However, the problem, the problem is that one of the key challenges is predictability. So what that means is that, while usage-based billing works well in the early customer journey, for example, a user just signs up through a PLG motion. But once the customer converts to contract-based subscription, the business oftentimes wants more predictable revenue, right? So both for your forecasting and for your financial reporting and planning. So that's why we started to see companies adopt hybrid pricing models, which involves usage. However, the usage will be combined with prepaid credit burn down or even committed credits model that is being adopted very widely in AI era, where customers commit to a spend amount, draw down over time, and get billed for any unconsumed credits at the end of the period. So these models really preserve the flexibility of usage-based pricing, but they also deliver the predictability that finance and board expect to have. So, so the hybrid model, right? It's really key in the success of these usage-driven models. But the traditional CPQ system and billing system, once they're siloed, you just cannot move fast to support these rapid changes in the pricing model. So I knew, because we unify CPQ and billing system together, so we essentially eliminate the cracks. So pricing innovation, like launching new hybrid models, like for example, yesterday was usage-based, now is usage together with credit burn down, and tomorrow can be, committed credits together with usage. They can be done really quickly and very cleanly. And on top of that, we also support all kind of midterm changes. So your customers can move between PLG and contract base, can go from free trial to pay subscriptions, can switch between different pricing models, and then that is frictionless as well.
Got it. And one follow-up question concerning that, because when you talk about subscription, you also talk about the renewals, right? So what should customers know about your renewal capabilities?
Yeah, that is a really good question because renewal is is arguably the most critical, right? And also the most complex in SaaS businesses. So it sounds simple, right? But they can have so many different forms. For example, auto renewal with uplift pricing. For example, when I renew, every year over year, there's like 5% uplift, right? And then also there's a renewal with upsell or downsell, true ups, early renewals for co-term, so that accounting and finance operations can be made easier, or upgrades schedule a renewal time, or downgrades schedule a renewal time, etc. Right, so supporting all these variations efficiently require more than just basic CPQ and billing. So you need to have unified lifecycle management to be able to say that all these things can be done really easily. And what's more important is that the subscription metrics such as ARR, TCV can be calculated automatically. And with all these data, all these metrics, right? So we'll be able to kind of forecast or predict or forecast, the customers up for renewal. Do we, do we upsell these customers when they are renewal? How, in terms of upgrade, downgrade, swap, how do we handle them at renewal time, etc.
Got it. So for any listener who wants to learn more about New and wants to meet the team in person and maybe see the solution themselves, I know they can go to the website, but are there any other upcoming events that where your team is, or you're going to be yourself, that you can recommend to listeners to go to or get in contact with you to meet you there?
Yeah, anybody is just very welcome to follow New Dial on LinkedIn, right? So we publish, really, well thought out articles, from LinkedIn, and then also, welcome everybody is welcome to follow me on LinkedIn, or you can email me directly at Tina at New Dial. It's super easy, super short and easy to remember. And we're gonna have a lot of marketing events, especially in the Q3 timeframe, and then all this information will be published on LinkedIn as well.
And I guess you also will be at Dreamforce, right?
Of course, we are gonna be at Dreamforce, and then it will be my, I don't even know, like 17th, 18th year at Dreamforce. Yeah, yeah. I've been a big fan of Salesforce platform. So yeah, I follow. I'm in Dreamforce all the time. Also, we're wearing other SaaS events as well. So yeah, all the details are on our LinkedIn.
Excellent. We will have all these links in the show notes, and also anyone who is interested to learn more about New, we also have a CPQ sales report about New, which talks in much more detail about some of the things we touched on here. Tina, I think it was super exciting. Thank you very much for making time for the CPQ podcast today.
Thank you for having me. It was fun. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening and hope you learned something interesting today. If you like the podcast, please go ahead and rate it on iTunes or share it with your friends and colleagues. In the meantime, you can find us online at www.novocpq.com. So long, everyone.